The ICW was designed to be an intermodal highway. And the way that I used to explain it to people when they would complain to me about it is I would tell them, first off, it's a commercial highway. It's no different than the interstate. You go pitch a tent on the side of the interstate and you ask a semi-truck to slow down. What are you going to get?
This season on Cruising Still the One, I'm docking my boat at my house in Cape Coral, Florida, the winter home base for Still the One. My plan this season is to cruise South Florida, including the Florida Keys, the east coast of Florida, and the Bahamas. Come along in my journey and enjoy the beautiful scenery, interesting people, and places along the way. You and I can learn something new through my experiences of a motor cruiser on Cruising Still the One.
I found a crab boat.
Okay.
And jumped on a crab boat. I found out real fast I had muscles I didn't know I had.
Because they were very sore after.
Very sore.
Yeah.
It was my experiment to see if I was going to stop moving boats and if I was going to buy a crab boat. That was the whole idea.
Oh, okay.
I didn't buy a crab boat, but I did run one for a while.
Yeah.
As a contractor.
Right.
Blue crab in the river is great year round. People say they don't catch them, but they just don't use the right bait.
Okay.
Or they don't let their crab pot soak long enough, or there's several different things to that.
So that was ended, and then you ended up at Rob's?
No. So running the crab boat, I had bycatch.
What?
I had bycatch.
What is bycatch?
So it's other fish and things that would get in the traps.
Okay.
And I had an incidental license, which allowed me to keep certain things that got into the traps.
Okay.
So one day I made my way up to Rob's with my saltwater products license that FWC requires you to have in order to sell. And I talked to Rob about selling him bait.
Got it.
He did not have the proper license to buy bait. In the state of Florida.
You didn't have bait at that point?
Yes, he did. So in the state of Florida, it's a weird, very, very weird place. If you decide to do commercial fishing here, there's a license for everything, including your big toe.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So you have to have a saltwater products license to catch fish and sell them commercially.
Right.
You have to have a wholesale license to buy fish commercially from someone with a saltwater products license. And then you have to have a retail license, as Captain Rob did, and obviously had a retail license, so he could buy from a wholesaler, but he couldn't buy from a saltwater products license.
Okay.
So there's always a middleman.
Yeah. So with him, he's buying direct from the producer instead of a...
So he's buying direct from a wholesaler, person I would have to sell to.
Okay.
So I contacted FWC that day. What's it take to get a wholesale license? Oh, well, you got to fill out this paperwork and send us money.
Yeah, more money. Yeah.
Now, would you like it for the county that you're going to be in, or you want it for the entire state? Because it's a different amount of money.
Of course.
You have to log everything that you sell, everything that you catch. Okay, this sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah.
What are you going to sell? Oh, I'm going to sell bait. Oh, well, you have to do that on paper. You can't do that on the computer. All bait has to be logged on paper and mailed in.
Wow.
Okay. So I caught a bunch of catfish.
Saltwater catfish or freshwater?
So saltwater catfish. Now everybody here hates saltwater catfish, the hardheads. So I went down and talked to Captain Rob about the saltwater catfish. And he said, well, the tarpon guys love the saltwater catfish, but they got to be fresh.
You use them as bait?
They use them as bait.
Okay.
They cut their heads off and their fins, and they use them as literally a popsicle for the tarpon. For the tarpon to run in.
Okay.
So I got this wild idea to buy 3 chest freezers, and I had them shipped into my house, and I loaded them up with catfish. And I sent my reports into FWC that I caught all these catfish in the wholesale world. That was great. So one day I'm at Captain Rob's and I'm helping him out. I wasn't there yet permanently, and I get a call from FWC. There was an FWC officer, and he needed to inspect my freezers. So I remotely opened the garage for him. Told him my desk was there, my license was on it. That was my computer I used, and he was welcome to anything in the garage he felt like he needed, because they don't need a warrant. FWC can walk into your residence if they suspect anything. They don't need a warrant.
Right.
Just as the Coast Guard doesn't need a warrant. There's the only two organizations that don't need a search warrant.
Right.
So he opens the first freezer and he closes the first freezer, and he said, that'll be the end of my inspection. Here's an inspection report. I don't know what you're doing with these catfish, but nobody's reported catfish down here in 20 years. So it threw up a red flag. We didn't think you had catfish.
We thought you had something else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Inspection complete.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah.
He goes, I seen you were in the Coast Guard. So might have been a little suspicious, so we thought we'd come check.
Yeah.
Great. No problem.
Yeah.
He said, I already looked at your boat. Everything looks good. You know, you're good. Go.
Yeah.
So then I purchased a commercial boat. Well, it wasn't a commercial boat yet. I purchased it, and I attached my commercial license to the boat,
Yeah.
in which I was going out, and I got to where crab wasn't doing it for me. Bait was.
Yeah.
I got into talking to Rob more, you know, and he
How
was
did you catch the catfish? From the traps?
from the traps.
Okay.
So I actually ended up buying commercial fish traps,
Okay.
which are totally legal in the state of Florida.
Yeah.
There's no license required for fish traps in the state of Florida. You can't catch game fish. But you can.
We all would love you to catch all the catfish you can catch.
That was my goal.
Yeah.
My goal was to catch every catfish.
That's all you seem to catch.
Yes, and deplete the numbers as much as possible. That was the end goal.
Right.
I ended up grinding the catfish and making chum.
Yeah.
Mixed them with oil. You know,
Yeah.
made great chum. The bait fish love it.
So how long did you do that?
So I was on that for about 6 months until I decided I got a call for one last boat, and I went to Panama City, and the boat wasn't ready, and it was a whole nightmare deal. 36 Everglades with triple 300s that they couldn't haul
This is
back.
Panama City.
Panama City, Florida.
Oh,
Florida.
Florida.
hmm
Okay.
And they really treated me bad.
Yeah.
The batteries were dead. The boat wasn't what it was supposed to be when I got there. It was the same owner. He had shipped the boat up and had some warranty work done. Well, they never plugged the charger in. They said they don't do that. I was really amazed.
Yeah.
They tried to sell batteries. That was their goal, to sell batteries, when they realized that I was smarter than them. And I said, well, funny, I have the copy of the receipt right here. These batteries were bought here 9 months ago. And you put them in.
Yeah.
So if they're bad, you have to replace them. They're under warranty.
Yeah.
That changed their whole attitude.
Yeah.
They realized then that I knew what I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
They said, well, there was a boat show and they can't launch the boat next door. The boatyard next door can't launch it, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, I'll tell you what, get the batteries replaced in the boat. I'm going to take a walk down the street. I'll be back. So I walked next door to the boatyard. I told them who I was, gave them my license and everything. And I said, can you guys launch this boat for me? And they said, sure. Just let us know when it's ready. So funds paid. Walked over. I said, when's the boat going to be ready? So they're not going to. I said, don't worry about what's going to happen with it. Just when's the boat going to be ready? Well, I really don't have anybody I can put on it. I said, put the batteries on the side of the boat. I'll change it.
Yeah. Not like you haven't changed a battery in your life.
So I pull all the batteries out. I told him to bring a tester out. He tested the batteries. The one house battery was bad, which was causing the computer not to start, which wouldn't allow the engine to start. Starting batteries were fine. It was okay because I got 5 new batteries out of the deal. Told him to do whatever he wanted to with those.
Yeah.
Put the batteries in. As soon as I had the batteries in the boat, I made sure everything booted up, bumped the button, everything was fine. So I called them next door. They came over, picked the boat up, launched it for me, filled it up with fuel.
Where you went?
And, I was supposed to leave at 8 in the morning. I left at 4 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Seas got rough, so I went into Apalachicola Bay. I anchored up the night at Apalachicola Bay. 4 in the morning, I woke up like I normally do and out Governor's Cut, and I crossed only to find the Coast Guard waiting for me in Clearwater. Well, you're a little suspicious when you come running across they call it the armpit, the Great Bend, whatever you want to call it. I call it the armpit because there's nothing out there. But when you're running straight from Apalachicola at 4 o'clock in the morning to Clearwater by 7.
Okay.
Yeah, I was running about 40, 45. I wasn't,
Flippers take that route all the time, don't they?
but not in a boat with triple 300s, 36-foot Everglades. It was a little suspicious.
It was a speedboat.
Yeah, it was a pretty fast boat.
Okay.
It was pretty
Gotcha.
fast.
And you were probably doing 40 or 50 miles an
I
hour.
was running about 45 across there because it was a
Yeah.
little rough.
Yeah.
So of course they board me. They check everything. Everything's good. I, of course, then gave them my VA card, and they found out I was in the Coast Guard after they did their proper boarding. I went into Clearwater Beach to fill up with fuel.
Yeah.
Red tide was disgusting. My eyes were bleeding. Got a boat full of fuel, and I come back out, and I ran about 68 miles an hour coming back to Cape Coral, about 2.5 hours, and I was in the slow speed zone,
Right.
not what people are calling the miserable mile.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is only in the winter, I found out.
Yes. Low tide,
Talking about the strip.
the strip by Picnic Island.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I was talking to police at the boat show,
Mhm.
and they were telling me that is full speed in the summer, and in the winter is no wake
Correct.
because of the manatee coming in.
Right.
Yeah. I also found out that if you have your boat more than 2 months or 3 months in Florida, you have to have it registered in Florida.
Correct.
Yeah, so 2 or 3 months. It's like 60 or 90 days, something like that.
I think they give you 90 days because of the loopers.
Right.
So a lot of the loopers will go into Orange Beach area until it gets too cold for them there, and then they start heading south.
Right.
They get down here and they stay down here.
And they really said the only time that you really could potentially get in trouble is if you get checked and they put it in the database, and then you get checked again.
Right.
By pretty much the same county or something. If it's in a different county,
Yeah, pretty much.
they're not, it's like super, but they said it is the law and it's what you're supposed to do.
It's just to keep you from sitting in one spot for 6 months. And,
Yeah.
not paying, obviously.
Right.
Freeloading, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I don't agree with a lot of the rules that they have. One of the anchoring laws that they've passed on the East Coast, I don't agree with. I'm not getting a permit to anchor anywhere in the state of Florida. I pay my taxes here. They're not getting an anchoring permit out of me if I go
So
visit
you
the
have
East
to have an
Coast.
anchoring permit?
On the East Coast, Palm Beach County, yes.
Oh, on the East Coast.
Mhm.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Okay. I didn't know that. That's new information.
Yes. It's null and void. The rules of the ICW allow no tariffs, tolls. It's not supposed to be regulated by speed.
All right.
Anything. The ICW was designed to be an intermodal highway. And the way that I used to explain it to people when they would complain to me about it is I would tell them, first off, it's a commercial highway. It's no different than the interstate. You go pitch a tent on the side of the interstate and you ask a semi-truck to slow down. What are you going to get?
Forget it, buddy. I'm going through.
Your tent's going to get blown over.
Yeah.
Just as if you anchor on the side of the intercoastal waterway,
Somebody blows by you.
somebody blows by you.
But they're still responsible for their wake, aren't they?
So they're still responsible for their wake to a certain
Right.
degree.
Right.
If you're anchored in the middle of the highway,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm on a tugboat that can push a wake 1.5 feet tall at 6 knots.
Yeah.
I'm on a power boat that pushes a 6-inch wake at 50 knots.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, if it's a kayaker, of course I'm going to slow down for them,
Sure.
We don't get too many canoers, which is good.
Yeah.
But somebody that, goes and ties to a piling, which is illegal.
I've wondered about that.
Um,
So that's illegal.
It is illegal.
Okay.
I'm not going to slow down for that guy. He's creating an illegal act. He probably keeps illegal fish. You know, if he breaks the rule once, he's going to break the rule again. So I'm not going to give that guy courtesy.
Yeah.
I'll give him as much berth as I can on the highway.
Yeah.
You know, I'll move over to the other lane, but I'm not going to, slow my roll.
Yeah. Yeah. I noticed that here in the Caloosahatchee that nobody slows down for anybody.
Speed limit's 25.
Right.
The law in the state of Florida is all bridges in the state of Florida are slow speed, no wake, but they posted 25 in the Okeechobee Waterway.
Really? Because the one right out here outside
Cape Coral Parkway,
nobody slows down.
It states that's 25, and people don't agree with me on this, but it's kind of like the marijuana law. It's illegal. It's federally illegal, but the state says it's okay.
In this case, the state says
it's okay
to blow through it, or it's supposed to be.
The state says to slow down. The county says
The
okay.
state says slow down, but the county says it's okay to go.
My old brain is getting twisted.
Yeah. So you end up now at Rob's?
So I end up, I'm going to sell Rob bait.
Yeah.
And Rob has one guy working for him that's 80 years of age and not doing too well.
Right.
His favorite words when you come through the door, no shrimp, bud. That was his favorite words. He didn't want to get out of his chair.
Yeah.
A bait shop is not a place for a retired person that doesn't want to move.
Yeah, I was in there the other day, and there was a line like at Walmart. It was rough.
We don't speak of the W word, but
well, sorry, it was a line at somewhere else.
Right, the soup kitchen.
Walmart.
The soup kitchen.
So you're at Rob's.
So I end up at Rob's with all my license now. So I have a solar products license. I have a restricted species license. I have all these licenses, wholesale license.
And you come in as an employee, just a regular employee, and eventually make your way to manager.
I come in as a part-time employee.
Okay.
I'm just there. I offer to come and help.
Yeah.
I don't even want to get paid.
Coming in to help.
I don't even want to get paid. Buy my bait.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't want to get paid. I'm just here to help you sell the bait that I'm bringing you. Okay. And I'm there for 2 days, and I determine that there's potential here.
Right. So then you become part-time, and then eventually become.
So I sat down with him and I said,
Yeah.
Look, there's potential here. He said, well, I'm exhausted. I've been doing it for 20 years. You know, I started across the street in a little shop, and he was doing charters, and he burned himself out. And I said, look, if I'm going to be here full time, I'm going to run the place. I'm going to make it work. It's going to be, I'll give you my ideas, but I'm a hard guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you provide shrimp and pinfish and
crabs and night crawlers.
Yes, because there's tons of fresh water.
And actually, people use night crawlers here for red drum.
Oh, really?
Red drum, they're like the rat of the sea. They'll eat anything.
Okay.
Including your finger if you hold it down there long enough.
Yeah.
So that's primarily the live bait. And then we have an entire smorgasbord of frozen bait.
Yeah. So, like, if you're going to use, I'm just used to squid and frozen shrimp, and that's about it.
Okay. So the three basics are shrimp, live or frozen, squid, finger mullet.
What do you do with a finger mullet? I've never fished with a finger mullet.
Cut bait. You can.
Oh, you cut it up.
You cut it up.
Okay.
You can drag it whole, and tarpon will love you for it.
You mean troll?
You can troll with it.
Okay.
Yep. Or you can set it in a current and just let it sit there and do its natural thing with like a knocker rig, Carolina rig. A lot of people know them as.
Okay.
Sliding weight, hook on the end. Pretty simple.
Yeah.
You know.
You have some kind of float?
No float.
No float.
It's going to hit the bottom, and then it's going to sit up in the water column and just kind of drift there.
Oh, I got you.
As the currents go moving.
Gotcha.
Usually around bridges, any kind of rock structure, anything you can find like that.
Right.
There are people that float fish for tarpon in the open water because that tarpon is going to expect that mullet to be up higher. And they use whole mullet. They use big mullet, 12 inches. They get into the bigger stuff.
Yeah.
They also eat crab, Blue crab, you cut them in half, use half a crab.
So you don't put the crab on it alive.
Not the big ones. They
Okay.
cut them in half.
I got it.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Have you done any chartering?
I don't do charters.
Okay.
I let my license go since I come to Rob's.
Yeah.
I don't run big boats anymore.
Right.
I do
How
offshore
often do you
trips.
get out to fish?
I've been once this year.
Only once.
The hurricane it put a hurt on us, but we're back. We're back
Yeah.
stronger than ever.
What do you do? Like, I notice you have a lot of, these big reels and rods. I mean, you probably get in some of the most expensive equipment.
So we are the premier offshore saltwater tackle dealer in the area.
Yeah.
We do have a couple more, but literally for the Cape, and most of our customers that go down to the Keys and even over to Cabo and that kind of thing, they get their stuff done here.
Right.
We have the machines. We invested $6,000 in a machine that literally it's made to spool all your big reels, 80s and above, 80s, 130s, big electric reels.
And this for stuff that they're fishing out 100 miles, aren't they?
These guys are going out 100, 150. They're looking for that 250, 300 foot mark, or they're going to the East Coast. I just had some customers come from Miami, and they brought me 14 large reels, and they said, we're going to come back in a week and a half and pick them up. We're not in a hurry for them. Just do as you can and get them done. But you're about half the price of what they charge on the East Coast. And one of our buddies got a reel done here, so we wanted to bring you the rest of them.
Basically, you're taking the old line off, put the new line on? Is that
Take an old line off. A lot of guys that troll offshore use mono still, and
Yeah.
that's fine. You need mono for shock purposes. So you're either going to put braid on, or you're going to put a mono top shot on, which is going to be 200 feet long anyway. So you might as well run mono. That's what I try to tell them. Not all of them listen, but I try to tell them,
Yeah.
on your big stuff.
So the mono stretches, but the
mono stretches, the braid doesn't. The
Yeah.
braid literally will snap.
yeah,
I recommend mono for all trolling purposes.
right. For trolling?
For trolling.
Okay.
Anybody that's deep dropping, anything like that, you need a lot of line. You're sitting still or you're drifting, braid is fine. You're still using a leader, fluoro or mono leader. And, I say 6 foot's a minimum. There's some big fish down there with some big fins.
So when you're using a leader,
Mhm.
it's a steel leader or a different type of,
It's a different type depending on the type of fish you're targeting.
okay.
Most people go out for like yellowtail snapper. They're using a fluoro leader because fluorocarbon.
Okay.
And fluorocarbon is a coating on top of the mono that it literally disappears in the water. So it's the same consistency as water. So the leader disappears, it makes the mono disappear pretty much. So the fish can't see it.
Right.
Yellowtail snapper are very picky. If they see a line in the water, they are gone, and they're smart fish. They hang out in schools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Educated all the time.
I mean,
That would be awful to be in school all my life.
I'm telling you,
Yeah.
and never learn anything, right?
That's right.
Your fishermen down in the Keys have they spoiled the yellowtail snapper so that the average person can't go out and catch a lot of them. They take 35-pound blocks of chum, and they drop those 35-pound blocks of chum over the side of the boat at a certain depth, depending on where they're fishing, because that amount of food is what brings the yellowtail out of the reef. If you drop one block of chum over the side of the boat at 7 pounds, the yellowtail will laugh at you.
Yeah.
You might get one.
Yeah.
It was a school dropout.
Yeah.
He was suckered for the punch. And
Yeah, that's right. So let's eat. Let's eat.
Let's eat.
Drink something.
Let's turn these things off.
We can
and eat.
we can let them run if that's okay.
Let's turn them off.
Okay, we'll turn them off. Turn them off. We're gonna turn them off.